Today we are joined by Tom Casey, who is the Director of Criminal Justice Ministry, and we're going to talk a little bit about Criminal Justice Ministry and the annual Catholic Appeals. So Tom, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what is the Criminal Justice Ministry?
Sure. Criminal Justice Ministry has been around for a little over 40 years here in the Diocese of St. Louis. Today we provide services to folks both inside institutions and prisons and jails across the diocese. We provide immediate services to folks who are coming out of incarceration, so people being released from jails and prisons. We meet their needs for food, transportation, hygiene supplies, etc., things like that. And then we also provide a housing program, a reentry housing program, which targets many of the more marginalized folks coming out, especially from longer term incarceration. And in that program, we provide them up to a year of support where we put them in an apartment, and those are scattered around mostly South City. And we provide case management. We provide assistance with, getting their mental health needs met, if they have substance abuse issues, seeking employment, etc. So that the goal over a 12-month period is that they become able to live independently, fully integrated back into society, and avoid recidivism where they might end up going back into the system.
It's a fantastic program. How did you get involved yourself?
So I became executive director last July. I had previously that I worked for an organization called Boys Hope, Girls Hope, which was also a little over 40 years old, based here in St. Louis. I worked for their network headquarters, and had been looking for an opportunity for change, something that was maybe working more with, within the city and with a more marginalized population, and just happened to find the opening here and was attracted to the work they did.
And I've noticed that you have a kind of a big staff, and a lot of the folks have been involved with the criminal justice system themselves. Is that helpful for like a peer support of it all?
Yeah, so there's, I think, two parts of it. One, I think we live out our sort of model, what we hope other employers would do in terms of providing second chances. So we're giving employment to folks who have come through either through our program or have similar backgrounds and having been justice involved. And yes, I do think from a perspective of working with our clients, I think having people who have been there, who have overcome the same challenges and can speak to their experience, I think has a tremendous impact in terms of both role models and folks who really do understand what's going on.
So you've answered this a little bit already with talking about the housing program, but it seems like there's a great number of programs that are kind of under your umbrella. Can you speak a little bit to some more of those?
Sure. So we do. We have a lot of different ways that we interact with folks. As I mentioned, one of the things that we originally started as, going back to the 70s, was to really be the prison jail ministry for the diocese. So the traditional, I was imprisoned and you visited me. So going out and visiting folks. And I know you spoke to Father John Vogler earlier, and that was really, he was a part of that. And from that work, I think they recognized that it was a wonderful thing to bring Christ's presence into the institutions and to respond to people's dignity, humanity. But they recognized that a lot of people would exit the prisons and come back, and that they faced a lot of barriers and challenges when they came out of prison. So we have a lot of different ways that we try to support formerly incarcerated folks to live independently and to be successful in the community and to avoid recidivism. Some of that started out just basic assistance, where they can come in and we have a program we call First Services, and that's really about meeting the immediate needs. So when you think of things, someone coming out, especially after a significant term in incarceration, they might not have identification. So much like I know the College Church does this as well. We have a program where we assist people to obtain identification. Any other thing requires that. So if they're going to seek housing, if they're going to seek employment, if they're going to get enrolled in any kind of benefits, they need identification. So that's one thing we start with, and we work with that. We also, a lot of the folks who come out from incarceration do wind up homeless. And so they have a lot of the same needs as any homeless population. So we specifically target those who are permanently incarcerated. But we're providing with backpacks we give to them, which would have a mix of different things that would help someone who, is living on the streets or living in a shelter. So we might give them clean underwear, clean socks, some clothing, food. We give them bus passes is a big thing we also do for folks, because one of the challenges they have is transportation to get to, they're required to go to parole officer meetings, they're required to different meetings and things they have to get to. But also when you think about searching for a job, if you lack transportation, being able to go for an interview, things like that. So bus passes is another service we provide, immediate food support, and then a lot of referrals. So we do connect with a lot of other agencies across the city that provides services to folks who are in need and particularly the homeless populations. So in addition to that, we a couple years ago combined with an organization called Let's Start, which mostly dealt with women and provided support groups and different training classes, et cetera, targeting women. Another big program they did was to bring children down to visit their mothers down at Vandalia, one of the women's correctional institutions, to maintain that relationship between the mother and the child. So they're a part of our programming now as well. And then, as I mentioned, there's the housing program. And that we partner with several agencies to do that. As I said, our model is to do scattered site. So we have single room apartments scattered around South City. The idea there is to mix our clients in with the regular community. So they're going to have opportunities to interact with other folks, not just living with all folks who have the same background as them. So in our housing program, we work with the VA, with a lot of veterans who unfortunately are coming out of formerly incarcerated. And we work with a lot of men who are long-term incarcerated. That was the original housing program they started, was finding that men who had been long-term incarcerated often faced a lot of barriers to reentry. And particularly if they, the offenses they might have been accused of or convicted of might have included sex offenses or murder, things like that. They faced a lot of stigma, and a lot of employers and landlords wouldn't want to necessarily get involved with them.
Right.
So that's where we found it was important to be able to provide them housing. And then so many other things can come from that. So if you think about someone trying to reenter society, especially after 20, 25 years away, all of the things they have to adjust to.
Yeah.
But you can't do that very easily if you don't have a safe place to live. And so we start with that. We move them into an apartment. We provide a case manager to support them. And the idea is that by providing that safe place to live, you can then get them to focus on whatever issues they need to deal with in terms of mental health, reestablishing relationships, and the job search is a big piece for all of them to begin to develop the job skills and to go out and secure that and to become employed and hopefully avoid any of the kind of behaviors or conduct that cause them to become involved with the justice system to begin with.
Right. That's a lot. I'm sure that keeps you busy.
It does.
What role does the support from the annual Catholic Appeal play in all of this?
Yeah, so the ACA, I think, has supported us since, I think, back into 2008, 2009. So originally, CJM was a ministry under the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. And so we were part of them until 2013. So I know definitely since we became our own independent organization in 2013, we've relied on ACA funding. They provide funding that, many of the other grants and things we get are very restrictive, so we work with the VA and they're fantastic, but the funds they give us are very specifically to serve veterans at specific costs, whereas the ACA money does allow some flexibility to provide the support around our ministry programs and some of the pieces that aren't covered by other grants. And so it's been a significant source of funding for many years, and we rely upon it. And again, not just the ACA, but we get a tremendous amount of support from parishes and other religious organizations and members of the diocesan community.
I will make sure that I will include the link straight to your website so that folks can check out more if they want to learn more.
Sure.
Tom, thank you.
CJM St. Louis. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the time.